We're going to be assembling a SNO-MASTER. It happens to be a SNO-MASTER 72, but the instructions and the steps are exactly the same for both the SNO-MASTER 72 as well as the SNO-MASTER 48. So you're going to want at least a 4-inch clearance, if at all possible, to make it easier to put the side runners on. The first thing you're going to notice is there's 3 panels. We only need to take the thumb screws off of the 2 outside panels at this time. The thumb screws, there's going to be 3 thumb screws per panel. You don't want to lose these, but that will give you access to the inside of our chassis. And right here you can see the inside compartment. We're going to need access to the holes that are here in the front, in these 2 areas right here. It's good to point out that you have multiple holes in the back of the chassis. Some are hidden below the sticker here, if the sticker is indeed in this location. So you may need to run a drill bit through that to clean that hole out if indeed you are attaching anything to the rear of the chassis. The things that you might attach to the rear of the chassis include a wheel kit or the tow bar assembly. The tow bar assembly goes on the outside. The wheel kit goes on the inside set of holes. Okay, so the first thing we're going to install is our pan link adjustment. So the way that you're going to install this is you're first going to grab the bolt from the bag. The washer is next. Then you're going to go through the pan link, then the spacer or 2 of the thick washers that are included. Then this will go through the chassis and the nut will go on the inside of the chassis. And this is perhaps the first, well, I'm not going to say difficult, but say tricky to get to because of the low amount of space that you have inside. So you want to give yourself a little bit of room, so get ready. Now it is a lock nut, so the situation is you're not going to be able to probably finger tight it all the way, so you'll have to get your tools, and it's a 9/16, and normally I would put the ratchet on the nut side, but because of access, it's probably easier to put the wrench on the inside, and you want to get it to the point where it is snug so that there is still movement available. Your question may be, why are we using that spacer and not another washer? That spacer is perfect for the amount of space that we will need clearance-wise so that we maintain a straight angle when we adjust to our drawbars themselves. If we don't use that spacer, we'll have an angle and it will be difficult to get your adjustment pin through there. The next item that we're going to do, and the reason why we put these blocks underneath of the chassis, are for these stainless steel runners. Now the stainless steel runners, what you will notice is there is a square and 2 round holes within the panel. The square is going to go to the front, and this part will be below the chassis, and is the reason why we needed to elevate it so that it would be easier for us to maneuver around this and enter those bolts. Now that square, the purpose of that is for our carriage bolts. This is the smallest size of our wrench, so we're going to be using our 7/16 to tighten this up. However, if I was installing my wings, these are the 2 bolts that I would need to loosen and then attach my wings at that time. Now, installing the wings, you will notice that the wings themselves have a taper on both sides. So this would be the left side. Now that I have that, I will repeat that same process on the other side. Okay, if you are intending on adding some weight, this is the weight compartment, and what you use for the weights will vary based on how much weight you need to add. However, this compartment is ideal for, one, it is going to be relatively watertight. It's not completely watertight, so you couldn't just fill it with water and freeze it, but depending on the location, it may freeze pretty quick. So you could do that. You could pack it with snow, that sort of thing, if that's all the weight that you need. You could go with the cinder blocks. So the inside of this compartment that we would put the weights in measures right at about 8 inches. But know that if you have any attachments, it's going to take up a little bit of that space to have those nuts on the back side. So the reason why we suggest like a 6-inch brick is to give you a little bit of leeway on either side because of the nuts and things that you have. Now you also have the nuts on the inside that we've used to attach the wings or the runners themselves, and that takes up just a little bit of space as well. So you don't have a full 72 inches across. So you'll want to look at, say, a 6 by 12, but know that you're not going to get all 6 12-inch blocks inside there. We are now ready to put our drawbars on, and the way that you want to arrange these is that the sticker is going to go on the outside. Then we're going to slide what we see is the bracket right over the pin. And at that time I can install my pin. We have our subframe. On a 72, on a SNO-MASTER 72, the subframe is included with the drawbars. On a SNO-MASTER 48, the subframe is only required when you have the SNO-RAZOR assembly. So it will be included in that packaging if you purchase the SNO-RAZOR. Okay, so what we're going to need next for this is our hitch plate, which includes 2 parts, the top and the bottom. The way that you will easily know the difference between the two is the one that has the square holes rather than the round holes. The square holes are going to be on the top. So here's our hardware kit, which includes 4 carriage bolts and the nuts that go with it, and the 2 plates. You will also notice that on the top plate, we also have the receiver for our coupler. First thing we got to do is, we know that this is the top. So, and this piece goes in between. In case you want to store this away, things that'll make life a little easier is to be sure to put a little anti-seize from the packet that is included right on the bolts. So The way that I have found this to work the best is to put one bolt in first, put it all the way through, then go to the opposing side, put it through, so it'll have a little bit of play through all of this. You can see there's a little bit of play now to try to get this all aligned. This is the 1/2 inch. By holding the carriage bolt in, it'll hold it so that you only need to tighten on the one side. Okay. This happens to be the pin coupler. We are going to align this hole and this hole using our shear pin. So I'm just going to see that they line up and push that through. Now, whenever you connect this to your machine, that piece will go through and you will then put your detent pin in and then away you go. The subframe is going to go in so that the taper is to the front and you will see little holes. I have the screws already inserted into but this is what would hold on the deflectors. They need to be down. This bracket will then go in this area here with these holes that you see on either side. The hardware kit is included with the subframe. So I'm using a 9/16 socket. If you install this subframe before installing the hitch plate, it will be more difficult to put together the hitch plate because this does not allow for the slight movements that you might need to get those bolts lined up properly. All we have left is our adjustments pins. And as you can see, the spacing that we needed, this doesn't interfere, but it also maintains that straight. And all I need to do is lift this ever so slightly. And push the hitch pin through. There's our hitch pin. I would double check everything is tight, and we're going to be installing our 72 SNO-MASTER SNO-RAZOR so that we can take care of those whoops or any other kind of unlevel part of your trail system. First, make sure that we have all of our parts. Chances are that your whole SNO-RAZOR is coming assembled, so all you would need to do is some adjustments and attach it to the drawbars themselves. The things that you will need is the two adjustment or locking knobs and your 4 bolts and nuts to attach it to your chassis. The first thing that we want to verify is that we have the teeth of the razor pointing towards the front or towards the towing machine that you're using. So that's what we consider the front. So the alignment that we're looking for are these 4 holes need to align with one another. So once we have it aligned, we can get our first bolt in there. Okay, so once we get our last bolt in, after some adjustments based on your snow conditions and what your end result needs to be, you would adjust height and you would adjust the blade angle itself, loosening, adjust, tighten it back up. The only thing that should be replaced if ever needed are the shear bolts. The shear bolts are located right here. They seem to be a little bit shinier. They're the zinc coated and they're a little bit lower grade bolt. And this will allow, if something is to catch, like say a rock or a tree limb or something of that nature that is unforeseen, it's just below the snow level, it could catch this, and to reduce the damage that could occur to the blade or the assembly, the shear bolt will break and is expected to break in that situation. These can be easily purchased and replaced at your local hardware store. The deflectors will come wrapped. There should be two for the 48 or 2 for the 72. The 72 is a little bit longer, as you can imagine. They will attach below here. There's little panhead screws below. You will remove the deflectors and they will go textured side up or smooth side down, with the bracket attaching here. And you'll know you are right because it looks like it blends together the two surfaces. Align the holes, put the screws in from the bottom going in, and if by chance the holes are just slightly off one way or the other, a little rat tail file to oval out the hole ever so slightly is acceptable and easy to do. The pan heads are big enough that will allow for that side-to-side adjustment that might be needed. If the holes are completely off, chances are you have it backwards, something, some way or another, it's incorrect. But it doesn't make a difference which side they're on. They're the same bolt pattern. So if they're off drastically, something else is an error. So try making sure that you have it lined up properly with the outside hole, with the outside, the very first screw head, and then go from there. As far as the SNO-MASTER assembly is concerned, you are ready to go at this time. Enjoy the time that you have making some great trails, and enjoy the winter weather.